2019, there are new rules for greenhouse gas reporting for many provinces and territories in Canada. This includes the OBPS, which is designed for heavy emitters. If your facility emits more than 10,000 tons of CO2 equivalent annually, you may be able to opt in to the OBPS, which could save you some money. This video covers the benefits and risks associated with opting in.
In 2018, the federal government introduced the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act. It has two parts. A regulatory charge on fuel for facilities not covered by the Act and regulations. A trading system for large industries, or the output-based pricing system, also referred to as the OBPS. The Act and regulations apply to provinces and territories which currently don't have an approved pricing system in place. Those include Ontario, New Brunswick, Manitoba, PEI, Yukon, and Nunavut. Saskatchewan is also subject to some of the requirements. To participate in the OBPS, you have to do two things. Report to the federal government using a system similar to the current greenhouse gas reporting program, as well as carry out a third-party verification by a firm who's accredited. Facilities with 50,000 tons CO2 equivalent emissions annually are required to report. If you emit less than 50,000 tons and would like to participate, you may be able to opt in. Your facility can opt in if you operate in any of the provinces or territories mentioned. If in 2017 and 2018 your emissions were between 10,000 and 50,000 tons CO2 equivalent, and you carry out a covered activity. They include things like mining, metal processing, chemical production, oil and gas activities, pulp and paper activities, automotive manufacturing, and electricity generation, to name a few. If you don't carry out any covered activities at your facility and your emissions are above 10,000 tons CO2 equivalent annually, there may still be an option for you to opt in. Facilities that are part of a medium to high emissions intensity trade exposed sector may also be eligible to opt in into the OBPS. For additional information on who may be eligible to opt in, see the link provided.
So under the new Act, all businesses, not just the heavy emitters, will be taxed on the greenhouse gases they produce. If your facility is at the lighter end of the heavy emitter category, it might be less expensive to join the OBPS than it would to pay the fuel charge on your emissions. Suppose you use enough natural gas that your facility emits between 10 and 50,000 tons of CO2 equivalents annually. This chart shows the cost you'd incur under the Act. As fuel charges increase, the cost to your company could be hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. If you choose to opt into the OBPS, you'll be exempt from paying these fuel charges. On the other hand, meeting compliance obligations also carries costs. The question becomes, would you spend more on fuel charges than you would in compliance to the OBPS? At the end of the day, it depends on how much you expect to improve your efficiencies to reduce your emissions. Once you opt into the OBPS, you're required to meet certain CO2 equivalent limits annually. If you go over these limits, you have to pay for every ton that exceeds the limit. The price on carbon is set to increase from $20 per ton in 2019 to $50 per ton in 2022. Depending on your facility's processes and efficiencies, you might end up paying more in carbon compensation than you would in the fuel charge. On the other hand, if you do opt in and exceed the requirements, you'd be able to trade your excess credits to other firms. This means that you could avoid the fuel charge completely and recoup some of the compliance costs associated with the OBPS. It's important to look at your facility's emissions and compare them to the output-based standard before making a decision. So RWDI is an accredited verification body and we do this type of work. If you'd like to know more, please get in touch.